Tonight, the Columbia City Council decided where its remaining ARPA funds will go, but some are concerned.
Plus, 4 members of the MU Swim Club are in the hospital with chemical burns after an accident in Illinois.
And the new focus on healthcare resources at Callaway County's biannual job fair. This is KOMU 8 News at 10.
Coverage you can count on. KOMU 8 News starts now.
Tonight, the Columbia City Council approved where to spend over $25 million in American Rescue Plan funds, and half of it is meant for 5 priority areas. Good evening, everyone. I'm Emily Spain.
And I'm Evie Allen. Thanks so much for joining us. Those top areas include affordable housing, mental health access, homelessness, access to services, and workforce development. Giselle Sandala is live at City Hall with the community's reaction to the council's decision.
During public comment, people were frustrated over what they say was a lack of transparency from the ARPA allocation process. The city decided that the second half of the ARPA funding should be determined by the community. The process took place last summer, but those who spoke pointed out that the community members have felt left in the dark, specifically on the details of why an organization receives funding, while the mayor says it's a work in progress.
It's been a completely secretive process where nobody gets to see the applications. We have very vague indications of how they were scored against each other, and people have pointed it out with plenty of time to have done something about it. There's no longer time to do anything about it.
As a reminder, this is the first time we've ever done this before, so there's a lot of lessons learned, and we'll be asking for an after-action report.
Mayor Barbara Buffalo agrees that the process wasn't at all smooth, but we'll use the community members and what they said to learn from moving forward. Reporting live, Giselle Sandala, KOMU 8 News.
Those at the council aren't the only ones concerned with the council's allocation of the ARPA funds. For example, the Columbia Police Officers Association says the top priorities are missing something. CPOA thinks the city should have used some money for hazard pay for law enforcement or other essential workers. In a news release, the union says those workers risked their safety and health during the pandemic because they could not work from home. CPOA argues the hazard pay from ARPA funds could have help the city recruit and retain employees.
Mayor Buffalo is also looking for ways to curb violence. In an opinion article for the Columbia Missourian, she says she wants to create an Office of Violence Prevention. Earlier today, KOMU 8 spoke with a mother who lost her daughter to gun violence back in 2019. Shonda Hamilton's daughter was killed down the street from a community park. She says she realizes violence can happen anywhere and to anyone regardless of their age. She says in her past experience, there's been a lot of calls to action.
I like to see follow through is what I like to see. You know, we hear a lot all the time about what we're going to do, getting input about community violence, doing listening sessions, been a part of that before, and nothing has really come out of any of those things that I've seen. And so that's what I really would like to see from the city is follow up.
The mayor plans to partner with public safety offices, community violence programs, and neighborhood voices. If the city council agrees to her plans, she says there will be more measures coming up.
Temperatures were well above average for this time of the year today by as much as 15-20 degrees in some locations across the upper Midwest. That's going to continue again tomorrow. You can see all this red, particularly those deep reds across the upper Midwest. But you can also see some deeper blues off across parts of the West Coast. That's going to try to make its way here in mid-Missouri as we get later and later into the week. In fact, by the Mizzou game on Saturday, we might be talking about sweaters instead of sweating. Temperatures right now still in the 60s and 70s, 69 in Montgomery City, Herman, 68 in Versailles, 76 in Fayette, 72 in Columbia, and 70 in Moberly. Right now, the sky relatively clear, but we do have more cloud cover off to the west. That cloud cover comes our way for tomorrow. And over the next 36 hours, that cloud cover going to be building quite a bit. Lows in the mid-60s tonight. 87 tomorrow, mid to upper 60s tomorrow night. Then the rain chances come in along with some cooler air. We're tracking that coming up.
All right, thank you, Matt. Well, 4 MU students were hospitalized after they were caught up in an ammonia spill in eastern Illinois.
KOMU 8's Grant Green has more information on how the accident happened and who all was involved. Grant.
Emily, 4 club swimmers, all freshmen, were forced out of their vehicles and ran into a ditch and were then found by EMS and taken to different hospitals. The accident happened in East Illinois, where a semi-truck carrying chemicals lost control, overturned, and led to a multi-vehicle crash. As a result, nearly 4,000 gallons of anhydrous ammonia spilled from a hole ripped on the side of the semi-truck. MU spokesperson Christian Basie says the university has made an effort to support the students as quickly as possible.
We were aware shortly after the incident happened that an incident had occurred, and that it potentially involved some of our students. Our student affairs team reached out and began immediately working to see if there was anything that we could do.
The students suffered chemical burns to their eyes, skin, throats, and lungs. You can find a GoFundMe page right here on the club swim team on our website, KOMU.com. In the studio, Grant Green, KOMU 8 News.
All right, thank you, Grant. Well, we have an update from a deadly crash on Stadium Boulevard near the West Boulevard intersection. That crash happened last week, and Columbia police announced a second victim has died. 48-year-old Jesus Celestino Mendoza Chavez died in the hospital earlier today. CBD says on the night of the crash, he crossed lanes, causing a head-on collision with another vehicle. The driver of the second car, 64-year-old John Surley, died the day after the crash. EMS had to extract both of them from the wreckage.
The man charged in the death of a baby was back in court today. Stefan Fountain appeared virtually from the Boone County Jail. The infant's remains were found outside of a local tire shop in 2019. Police say the child's remains were found inside a backpack, stuffed inside a stack of tires outside of the McKnight Tire Shop in Columbia. Fountain's trial will now take place on February 27th rather than later this month. The date was moved because certain experts were not available for the original trial date. Fountain is currently charged with the abandonment of a corpse, endangering the welfare of a child, and second-degree murder. His attorney proposed a motion to dismiss those last 2 charges, but it was denied. The baby's mother is also facing charges. The full details of the story are available on our website right now, KOMU.com.
The shovels hit the dirt today on an expansion to MU's research reactor. That facility is the nation's most powerful university reactor. It creates medical isotopes for imagery relating to cancer detection and treatment. The cost of the expansion is $20 million, which comes from a partnership between the federal and state governments. The plant's executive director says the new expansion will help support the reactor's research goals.
The West expansion provides much needed space for our research programs, our industry partnerships, and our manufacturing, and to house our growing workforce, which is just outstanding and one of the best workforces in this space in the entire country.
He says the reactor currently has around 300 employees, and the process is already underway to add more. The expansion is expected to be completed by the end of 2024. In your national news tonight, former President Donald Trump stepped off the campaign trail to spend this afternoon in a Manhattan courtroom.
It was the first day of a civil trial accusing Trump, his sons, and their companies for repeatedly committing fraud for overstating their wealth. CNN's Emily Schmidt has the details.
Mr. Trump, why do you want to be here in person today? Because I want to watch this witch hunt myself.
Former President Donald Trump calls his civil court trial election interference. But instead of the White House, it's partially about Trump's house, the Trump Tower he departed Monday on his way to court. Prosecutors presented court documents saying in 2017, Trump told Forbes his tower penthouse was 33,000 square feet, 3 times the size reported in 2004, overvaluing between $114 to $207 million.
Good morning, everyone.
New York's Attorney General says that overinflating happened across company financial reports for a decade, resulting in better business terms that have led to 7 claims against Trump and others.
No matter how powerful you are, no matter how much money you think you may have, No one is above the law.
Last week, the judge overseeing the case ruled on the first claim, saying the president is liable for fraud.
This judge should be disbarred.
Trump also discredited the prosecution.
We have a racist attorney general who's a horror show.
Trump's attorney argued in opening statements there was no intent to defraud, no victims, no unjust profits. Attorney General James seeks $250 million, a ban on the Trumps serving as business officers in the state, and a ban on their company from doing business for 5 years. The judge promised to say little during the trial. Trump did not promise the same. I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
This is the first of at least 4 trials, 2 civil and 2 criminal, that former President Trump faces. Coming up, how some new faces are shaking things up at the Callaway County Job Fair.
Plus, see how one Kansas City homecoming queen is keeping her head high in the face of adversity. That story after the break.
And we got to the upper 80s today, well above average for this time of the year. We need rain. We've got some in the forecast. We'll talk about how much you can expect and how much cooler we're going to get coming up in just a few minutes.